Haryana police last week arrested 5 men and 2 women allegedly involved in conducting sex determination tests of pregnant women in Yamunanagar. Now, this is just another of those incidents of sex selection tests in spite of a law being in place. What is it about Indian population that it just cannot get over its penchant for a son at whatever the cost? Awareness campaigns, media debates, all seem to have come to naught. The recent case of Dr. Mitu Khurana, who fought relentlessly for 7 long years, has lost her fight against sex determination before birth. The question is, what would it take for our society that sings paeans in praise of goddesses, but does not think twice before trampling of the girl child even before she is born? Will anything really change? Or is it time for a movement to begin on the roads to bring about the much needed change? This is what I'm trying to ask today. Welcome to Gender Discourse. I'm Lottie Alaric. To carry this discussion forward, I have in the studio a distinguished panel of guests, and I'm very happy to have with me Ms. Geeta Luthra, who's a noted advocate. So, welcome to the show, ma'am. And I'm very happy and I'm very grateful to Dr. Mitu Khurana herself, who's a mother of 2 daughters and who was fighting this case and has unfortunately lost, but her spirit is definitely there. So, I welcome you. Thank you so much for taking time out for us. And we have with us Dr. Neelam Singh, who's a gynecologist and is also associated with an NGO called Vatsalya. Now, this is an NGO that is fighting tooth and nail regarding sex determination testing in the country. I welcome you to the show. And I have with me a senior correspondent of the Tribune. She is Aditi Tandon. Thanks for being here, Aditi. Geeta, let me just begin with you. You know, the moment this news came of Mitu and she telling me that she's lost the case and all that, even as it was happening and she was in touch with me and all that. So when this really happened, it broke my spirit, and I can imagine what it must have done to Mitu. Now, in a country like ours, how long are we going to keep asking this question that where does the girl child stand?
So, the first thing is, as far as Mitu is concerned, I've been seeing her over the years. She's one relentless and one very strong girl who's fighting and who's fighting for the right cause. Now, somewhere along the line, we don't carry things to their natural conclusion. So we, after fighting for a point and with the litigation process being so delayed, ultimately, everyone wants to begin a new life. I'm sure Mitu wants to begin a new life, but she wants to bring to fruition the fight that she's been carrying on. Now, at some point, a lot of us just give in because you feel, why not just resolve or settle? And this kind of policy that we have of trying to resolve everything is unfortunate, because there are things which should be black and white and they remain black and white. They can't just go into shades of grey and disappear. After having said that, the fact is that there are many loopholes and technicalities in the law, and I haven't read how they were acquitted or how the case ended, except that her stand was not vindicated. But there are several presumptions, loopholes. Sometimes somebody may say, all right, X person is in charge of maintaining the register in my hospital, and that X person either just disappears or says, sorry, I wasn't so trained. So there'll be little and little loopholes along the way where the courts have to be careful that while the innocent should be convicted, the guilty should not go scot-free. But the law is that 99 guilty people may go, but 1 innocent man should not be convicted. So somebody shouldn't be wrongly put into the gallows. Now, I think a lot of this has to do with what we've been saying in every field of law, be it criminal law, be it rape, be it murder, that our analytical skills and our criminal inquiry system, our police system is not doing scientific tools. They are not literate and well educated enough, one, to put things in order, and the other is sometimes they are deliberately shoddy because it suits them to be shoddy because you know, it's either their palms are greased or they know that that's the more profitable venue. The person who wants to say this test was not done and this is how the presumption should be is not going to give them money for doing it.
Right.
But a huge hospital, and I'm not blaming the hospital, I'm not saying in this case the hospital concerned did something wrong, but there are some mandatory requirements. If those mandatory requirements are not followed, there is a presumption. And if that presumption comes, then the police have to make sure that they bring on paper whatever is the requirement. As a litigant, she can only be pursuing them to do the needful.
That's right. Well, let me get to Mitu here. So, Mitu, first of all, again, I'd like to say thank you for coming on this show. Now, I would like to ask you that all through the process, were there moments when you were actually hopeful that something would turn out in your favor? Or in this patriarchal setup of ours, were you always skeptical? Tell me honestly.
See, honestly speaking, the amount of evidence which I had gathered that like there was no Form F, no consent was taken, and there were judgments which are coming from various high courts where doctors were being convicted on the basic fact that the Form F was not maintained or the records were not being maintained.
Right.
And it was accepted that my Form F was not maintained, it was not sent to the authorities when the ultrasound was done. The ultrasound was done, this is not disputed, this nobody has disputed. So I was very hopeful when these judgments, full bench judgment from Gujarat came that this in itself amounts to sex violation of 5 and 6, which is sex determination. So as far as the law was concerned, I was very hopeful. Yes, I mean the attitude of authorities many times has been very patriarchal. Like the appropriate authority, when they found out the Form F was not you know, it was not there, they themselves called me to the office and they told me to give my husband a son if that's what he wants. The very people who had to take action against the hospital, they are calling me to their office and telling me to give them a son, give my husband a son and not to destroy my life. And when this judgment was pronounced, I mean for once, day before yesterday, I was like, have I really spoiled my life? I mean, is it like, you know, beating your head to the wall? There is an agreement in which my husband has said that from now onwards, I will not force Mitu for a sex determination test. From now onwards, Mitu will not be forced to undergo a sex determination test and sex selective abortion, if any. Despite this, despite there being extrajudicial confessions, despite all this coming to record, if the case has been dismissed, I was broken. Lottie, I would like to tell you here, see, it's been a very long battle.
Absolutely.
But after I filed the court case, I came to know only in 2009 through the United States website that I'm the first mother to complain under this act. And that put a moral obligation on me that I want to see it to its logical conclusion so that any other woman who wants to come forward, she has a way paved for her.
Absolutely. So this has now become a bigger fight. It's like no more
I mean, it
just
is
yours.
Closed.
Correct.
It is closed. The doors are closed. Which woman will come forward if the authorities are not helpful, the judiciary is not helpful, the society as it is not helpful. Many a times the parents say, no, you go and maintain your marriage, whatever it takes. So where does the poor woman stand?
Correct.
If despite all this, I cannot prove that yes, a sex determination has occurred, I wonder how any other woman is going to prove.
Absolutely, absolutely. Neelam, I would want you to come in here. Now, this is a woman who's a doctor by profession. She was married to a doctor. So that means this is already the, you know, the upper class of society where people are educated. Now, if this class of people are falling for, you know, things like these and doing what they have done to Mitu, what are we really expecting to be done, I mean, to other women of society? And you've been dealing with it for so many years. Just tell us as to how, what do you see on the ground also?
I think Mitu's case is first of its kind. It's not
the only case in the country. There are many cases like this which do not really lead to the fruitful conclusion, I would say. So cases are withdrawn, and you know, the very petty punishments like 1,000 rupees or something after fighting for 4 or 5 years. So Mitu is an educated girl, and she knew everything so much. She knew everything. That is how she was able to help the investigative agencies also to do the investigation well. But despite all this, if this has happened to Mitu, I am also very harassed once I heard that Mitu has lost the case, because I know the cases, whatever number of cases are in the court, it's very, very difficult to prove. And law as such maintains that, you know, decoy operations are difficult. Any mother would not have the courage to go to the court. Like we have seen Mitu being an educated girl, if she goes to the court, what happens then? The other women cannot go to the court. So that is how the Act has made documentary evidence as an important evidence. And if that was missing and still the judgment has come like this, so I think we really need to think twice that what will happen. And I totally agree with Geeta ji that the authorities which are there, their competence to investigate the case is always a question, because I have seen many cases where I work that the investigation is not done well, the evidence is not collected, or the complaint is purposely diluted. So these are the kind of things. So there is a lot of flaw in the enforcement as I see on the ground. And I think it's not a question of literate or literate. If you look at the sex ratio in India, what has happened in past decade, if you compare this, India's sex ratio has gone down 11 times much more in rural areas as compared to the urban area last 10 years. And you look at the different districts, the sex ratio is much more dropping in rural areas. So this practice, it was in urban pockets initially, but now it has gone to the rural. So I really wonder what will happen in 2021, because you know, now larger population is using this technology for determining sex. So I don't really see very bright future in 2021.
Right. Aditi, you've been also reporting, you know, these kind of cases, and we've all seen in all around what has been happening. Now, when a judgment like this comes, do you think that this is really not going to go down well, and particularly for the women who are suffering or who could be suffering in future? And if talking of convictions, I think I'm told there have been just 12 convictions in Delhi, the capital city of India. So what future are we really talking about?
Yeah, I would begin my intervention by saluting Mitu for her struggle. I mean, it's not easy what she's done, and it's totally heartbreaking to hear her story, and the fact that the judges have not really risen to the occasion.
Right.
You know, Lottie, in my experience as a journalist reporting gender sensitivity and insensitivity, what I've really found is that at various levels of society, I mean, a law is there, of course, we have so many laws, but whenever we talk of laws that reinforce gender sensitivity, the entire debate comes and settles around law enforcement agencies. One at the level of the police. In fact, in her case, not so much the police as the district appropriate authorities. Secondly, at the level of the judiciary. See, any society's perception of justice depends on how these two agencies respond to situations.
Right.
And if we see our judicial system, if we see our police system, our law enforcement agencies, we have this whole challenge of patriarchy.
Absolutely.
We have this challenge of gender stereotypes seeped so deep into these communities. I mean, where is our police force coming from? Who are these judges, you know, who are sitting in judgment in such important matters? What is their level of sensitivity to a law like this? The law is fabulous. I mean, the law doesn't spare anybody.
Absolutely.
But who's going to actually adjudicate a matter as sensitive as that? A mother going against, you know, the husband in such a case, it's salutary. I mean, justice should have been a natural consequence, but it hasn't happened.
But it hasn't. That's true. It really, you know, raises questions on so many of these agencies. Well, folks, we'll have to slip into a break right now, but when we come back, our lines are going to be opened. One of them is a toll-free number, which is 1800115314, and the other number is 23035420. So if you have anything to say regarding the subject that we are debating today, that is sex determination testing, still a reality, then call us. Keep your questions ready, and when you call us, keep the volume of your TV set completely toned down. So don't go away, as we'll all see you on the other side.
हर साल देश में 2 से 8 अक्टूबर तक मनाया जाता है वन्य प्राणी सप्ताह। लोकसभा टेलीविजन पेश कर रहा है उन चुनिंदा पशु पक्षियों के बारे में जानकारियों का एक विशेष कार्यक्रम जिनकी प्रजातियां खतरे में हैं। मैं हूं अभिलाष खांडेकर और आपके लिए लेकर आया हूं वन्य प्राणी सप्ताह विशेष।
All that you wanted to know. All that you wanted to see. Everything related to your health is what we tell you in Healthy India.
In the maths factor, we take a journey through interesting area of mathematics and experience an engaging and appealing mathematical world. Join us every Saturday morning at 10:30 a.m. on this journey.
Welcome back. You're watching Gender Discourse, and today we are talking about sex determination testing, still a reality. So folks, if you have a question, then just pick up your phone and reach us at 1800115314 or 23035420. And as I said, please keep the volume of your TV set to the bare minimum. Now, Geeta, this question to you again. As I was talking about convictions, you know, if what I've heard is right, 12 convictions, and where these people have just got away with a measly fine of 1,000 rupees. So, what are we really talking about? It's such a, I mean, it's something to be laughed at.
You're right. So the first thing will be there won't be that many firstly prosecutions under this. I think Supreme Court had been monitoring it. There was a public interest litigation, I think by the Voluntary Health Association, if I'm not mistaken. And in that there is an inspection committee which has been set up. It's called the National Inspection Committee. Not exactly that, but the nomenclature is something similar. Now, they've not been carrying out inspections. Now, why don't you carry out inspections? Because sometimes the government is too slow in having enough officers. Sometimes they don't have enough police force to go and do the, you know, you may require police force to actually help you to go in.
Geeta, can I interrupt you for a moment? We have a viewer. This is Mr. J.N. Rao from Tamil Nadu. Mr. Rao, welcome to the show.
Thank you. The sex discrimination tests, which are primarily against the female gender throughout the Mother Earth, deserves exemplary punishment and condemnation, and this can be done only through forensic tests, cross-examination, criminal-like perpetrators, and because they have a criminal, historical, and colonial background. And the custom officers, immigration department officers, preventive intelligence, rummaging, and doctors, a separate department can be opened about the medical department at airports. This, I would say, is my suggestion. I'd like to have the comments of Rezi Chandan. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, though I really couldn't make out much of what you said, but I guess the gist was that people should be punished, that the ones who have to be punished must be punished. But that's what we are saying, the fight that she has lost. That means something somewhere is not right.
Yes, absolutely. Apparently, I mean, I was just reading up some of the statistics. It seems that there have been 1 crore such abortions or feticides since 2007 in India. And so you're talking over a period of 8 years, you're doing, it's shocking. It's more than 10, 12 lakhs a year. Now, obviously, it brings lots of problems. It's just not feticide. Connected with this is the fact that then in Haryana, you have extremely skewed ratios. I'm giving Haryana as an example.
Now we are seeing the results of that, I think, because they have no girls to marry.
So you have this in Haryana, you have this in Punjab, Haryana being the worst, and so many other states. Then the result is that they actually kidnap women from Nepal, Bihar, other places, from the northeastern states. You kidnap women, then you sell the women. And these women are sold and they are made to live with these men.
Right.
Sometimes as first wives, sometimes as second wives. But in any case, sold for purposes of marriage.
Yes.
And they say that, you know, it suits us more because they listen to us more. There's no chance of them running away because they don't have any place to run. And so many raids which are being done, but the answer is this, that there are gangs who are doing this. And so it all stems from this female feticide, and then going on to missing women, kidnapping of women, marrying them forcibly, selling of women. I don't know what we are coming to.
What we are coming, and you're right. And these women are particularly, you know, called by two names. They are either called molki, which means that she's been bought, or they are called paros. And sometimes these women are made to live in the mangers and the stables where the cows are there. And men just use them like sex slaves, or also like slaves of the house where they are made to do all kind of household work. So is this the kind of India that one was dreaming of? I think that's the question.
That's what I've heard of is now polyandry is coming back. A family which buys a girl for, say, some thousands of rupees, they say we have 5 sons, we don't have the money to buy a different wife for each of you.
You're right.
So you share the wife. So polyandry is coming, and it is scientifically proved fact कि जितना the amount the sex ratio comes down, the more violent the society will be, which we are seeing. I mean, when we were kids, we used to go to the market openly, and that was the reason why I was fighting. That was the basic reason, that when I want my daughters to grow up, I want them to grow up in a safe society.
Correct.
I want more women to come forward, but now I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss that what do I say to other women, do come forward or not to come forward?
Correct.
I mean, it's not my fight. I don't get anything from this. The only thing which I would have got is a good, stable society for my daughters when they grow up, where the crime rate is less, where they can move about on the streets safely. That is the only reason why I was fighting. And now I really don't know where I am and what to do again.
Absolutely. So Neelam, what do you really make of this? Because, you know, this woman who's been fighting relentlessly, and today if she says she doesn't know what to do, you know, she doesn't know what tomorrow is going to hold. So what are the society that we are giving our women or to the girls who are unborn?
Actually, if you look at the two things, I see this entire issue as demand and supply. So, you know, the demand was always there, because, you know, we are a society who have very strong daughter aversion and son preference. And it is not going to go in by doing some rallies, some community awareness in a year or 2 or maybe 5 or 10. What I see is it's very deep rooted. It has taken centuries to be there, and it is going to go with time. So it's very short. We need some solution, because the way the women are vanishing and the kind of society Geeta was just describing, and it is seen, I have seen on the ground that it is very true. The polyandry is coming. They are raped. They are sold and resold, and everything is on the ground. So what I find is that to me, PCPNDT implementation is of utmost importance, because if you look at, it's a very lucrative business. So it's hand in glove. The mindset is being exploited by the technology, and it's very important that we should know the technology, how to actually use or misuse, and its misuse is in the lure of money. So I think that is how it has to be very stringently, and it has to be focused. Implementation is very, very important, because otherwise we will lose.
You're working in UP. What is the scenario over there, I would want to ask you?
I think it's not UP, because Geeta was mentioning the National Inspection and Monitoring Committee. I've been member of that committee for past 6 years, and I've been, I've gone to many states, and I find that every state the situation is the same. Almost the same. 1 or 2% this way, that way, but otherwise the situation is the same. But I think we are not taking it seriously, the implementation of the act. I mean, it may be different, because, you know, there are, and the example is given that this is a social legislation and they are difficult to do, because, you know, they are against the society, and if society really wants. But I see it in a different manner, as the name is PCPNDT, it's Preconception Prenatal Diagnostic Technique Act. So now who is using the technique? So if you look at in India, there are roughly 50,000 plus clinics registered.
Correct.
And in a state, if you look at, I come from UP, in a state like it has 5,000 machines. So is it really difficult for the authorities to monitor 5,000 people's behavior? It's not difficult. To me, it comes like few, say some hundreds in some districts, so it's not difficult to monitor. So if we have a will, we have a way. So I think I always feel that there is not enough will in the country that we really want to check it, because you know, we are not that shameful. We don't feel ashamed right now to the extent that we really want to get up and we really want to get this on. I don't say that community awareness and sensitization, as people say it, and that awakening and women empowerment is not important. That's very important arm of the entire intervention, but then that is a long-term arm of the program. But we have to tackle this emergency by somehow this supply. We have to check this supply, which is it is just going on, and it's
I'll have to
mushrooming.
I have a viewer. This is Sridevi from Hyderabad. So Sridevi, can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can.
Yes, please go ahead. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. First of all, I wanted to just share, you know, just before this you had a break and she said, Mehman aane wala hai. I think we need to start from there about, you know, gender sensitization. And besides that, of course, I wanted to share my own experience. I have a PhD, I have 2 daughters.
Okay.
And I would like to encourage your, you know, panelists who underwent this case and all that, you know, that your daughters are going to change the world. That's what my daughters are doing. They are, of course, now 30 and 24 and all that, but they were underweight. I'm a PhD. I've traveled the world, and then I married into India because I wanted to be here in my state, all that thing. But then I found that traditions are actually for exploiting. They are not something great about, you know, for which you come back and settle in your own country. That's one thing I've learned. Now I'm 57. But I really definitely want to tell her that it's not about cases, it's not about laws, it's about training our own daughters to actually stand up on their own, and then, you know, just go ahead with your life. Just don't bother about what's happened. The judgments are like that. It's like that in every case. That's what your other panelists were also saying. And also they were underweight. My daughters were underweight. They were below 2 standards. I read that later. I mean, you just blindly trust that, you know, the family you married into, they're going to take care of you and all that stuff. Because my mother, she left when she was 13, she got married and went off to Simla from some village near Tamil Nadu. You know, married into the defense, before independence.
Sridevi, I agree with you. Due to the paucity of time, I'm afraid I will not be able to have you for so long on the phone. But yes, I do get the point what you're saying, that we need to really strengthen our daughters so that they can stand on their feet. We are completely on with you on that one. But thank you for joining us. Aditi, I want to take in where take on from where Neelam left. You know, she said something that we are not really seeing the seriousness of it, and we are not really serious about this. Now, this is a very sensitive remark, and this is the truth of it, actually. That's what I feel. So, do you also feel the same? Because the repercussions one is not realizing right now, probably.
Yeah, I think if there is any single most important agenda right now before our country, it is actually this.
Correct.
Because as the panelists have already pointed out, that the issue of demand and supply has to be first of all met. See, you cannot expect everything to change by way of a simple law.
True.
We have to realize our own responsibilities as a society. You have also pointed out that sex determination and sex selective techniques are not only being used in, you know, rural areas. They are now like being used pan-India.
Correct.
And the issue of registration of ultrasound machines, I would like to actually seriously doubt the figures that are contained in government data. They are saying that, you know, there are just about 70,000 ultrasound machines registered. But I can't, as a layman also, believe that there are only these many machines.
Correct.
There are mobile units these days.
Oh, yes, they are such small machines, and people tell me that they can be carried on the carrier of a bicycle.
Absolutely. I mean, the technology is outsmarting the law. So you have to keep the law abreast of it. What has the law done to actually take into account the fact that now there are mobile imaging centers, kind of, you don't even have to be stationed anywhere.
That's right.
And you know, there are n number of places where you can go to for sex selection. So law is just one part of the story, but what are we as a society doing about it? I know of you know, families, very well-to-do families, very highly educated, which do force their daughters-in-law to go in for selective abortions and techniques. So we have to first answer, what are we as a person and an individual and society ready to do to bring back our missing daughters? You know?
Absolutely. Geeta, I think she is absolutely right, you know, because the law can also probably only do so much. But if our social milieu is such that we just cannot think of a family without a son, then these kind of things will keep happening, and God knows for how many centuries. So we've got to get our act together. That's what I feel. Your comments?
So that's true. You see, the days come when a lot of educated people, I'm just talking of educated people, they would want 1 or 2 children. In the 1 or 2 children, they say a son becomes a must because that's how we'll go to heaven, who'll look after us in our old age. You can see in the urban elite slight shift that they are realizing that, look, it's in old age, it's not our daughter-in-laws who are looking after us, it's our daughters who are looking after us. It's not our sons will listen to their wives, but our daughters will listen to us. So in the urban elite, where some women are empowered, there is a slight shift of consciousness. But you go to the rural areas, where I've gone, I mean, all these people as doctors have gone, I've gone with members of my family who are doctors, and they actually will not feed their daughters the same. If there is paucity of milk, milk is given to the son. They said, this is the boy who's going to go to the field and work. This girl's, in any case, she's a daughter, we'll have to pay for her dowry. So she is a liability in every which way. Now, we have to change the social ethos. Unless we change as a society, realizing how valuable are our daughters and our daughter-in-laws and our girl children to us, all kinds of law should be strict. It's not being implemented strictly. It's not at all being done strictly. These are peripheral. It's like, you know, this is just a test. I have a more important, say, a murder case before me. I have a more important case, a theft case, or I have to do police bandobast. So everything else has priority than something like this, which is a very middle class or value, that how it has repercussions for the whole country. But really the sensitivity to it is in a very few people.
Absolutely, I agree with you completely, Geeta. Well, folks, time for us to slip into yet another break. But when we come back, you still will be able to ask your questions on this forum. Just note down our numbers, which are running on your screen, which are 1800115314 and 23035420. Again, I'd like to request you that please tone down the volume of your TV set when you call us. So we'll all see you on the other side. Do stay tuned.
We discuss issues that concern you, affect you, a forum for all viewpoints.
किताबें बहुत कुछ बोलती हैं, लेखनी चलती है और रच जाता है एक नया संसार। किताबों की खामोशी को आओ पहचानें, उसकी दुनिया को समझें और जानें। साहित्य संसार में हर रविवार शाम 7:30 बजे। खबरों के संसार से चुनिंदा खबरें ही हम उठाते हैं। हम कहे अनकहे के बीच का खबरों के संसार का सच दिखाते हैं। हम खबरों में से खबर खोजकर सुर्खियों से परे बनाते हैं।
Welcome back. This is Gender Discourse, and today we are talking about sex determination testing, which is still a big reality. So friends, if you still have a question, just quickly dial 1800115314 or 23035420. Okay, Mitu, now I want to ask you that considering the strength that you have, which you do, and you have been really, doing a great job, if I must say, and as you said that this could pave a way for the other women, what is your plan now? What do you want to do ahead?
See, initially, when the judgment was pronounced, my reaction was, I can't go any further.
Correct.
But then there was Miss Mitu from Action India. There were some people with me who told me, no, now you cannot back out.
Correct.
Then they created a sport page on Facebook, I Stand with Dr. Mitu Khurana, which received over 500 likes within 24 hours. And then they have made a hashtag which is being done on Twitter, that hash I Stand with Dr. Mitu Khurana.
Okay, hash I Stand with Dr. Mitu Khurana. That's
hashtag.
Okay.
And then yesterday evening also we had a meeting in which it was decided that now I have to appeal. But now, considering that, I mean, I cannot fight it alone.
Of course.
I need the public with me. I need the NGOs with me. I need the media with me. If I have to fight it alone, I can't do it. I can't do it now.
Absolutely, absolutely.
At this stage.
Well, we have a viewer with us at this point. This is Sushma. Sushma from Delhi. So, Sushma, can you hear me, please?
हाँ, नमस्कार मैडम
जी नमस्कार
हाँ मैं आपको ये बताना चाहती हूँ कि मैं हाल ही में अभी बड़ी प्राउड दादी बनी हूँ पोती की
अच्छा
लेकिन मैं आपको कुछ अपना एक्सपीरियंस शेयर करना चाहती हूँ कि कुछ लोगों ने जब मुझे बधाई दी तो साथ साथ अरे कोई बात नहीं लड़का हो जाएगा अगली बार और एक ने बधाई दी बहुत दूर के रिश्तेदार ने लेवी लग गई है जी अब इसके बाप को कहिए कि अपना दहेज वगैरह संभालना शुरू कर दे और इस तरह की जो बधाइयां मिलावटी बधाइयां थी मैं ये कहना चाहती हूँ क्या इनकी सोच पर कोई कानून बन सकता है जो हम लोग इतने आराम से बड़े प्यार से खुश हो रहे हैं कि हमारी पोती हुई है और वो हमें बड़ा सहानुभूति दिखा रहे हैं
राइट
तो इसके बारे में आप क्या कहना चाहते हैं भाई कानून लाया जा सकता है क्या इस पर
Thank you so much. First of all, congratulations that you said that you're a proud daddy of a poti, so that really says it all. But I'd like to get the comments of my viewers here. So, Mitu, you can go first.
See, first thing is, as ma'am was saying, we are sitting on the brink of an emergency. United Nations has said India is in a self-destructive mode.
Correct.
Only males cannot run the country.
True.
You need females with you. And what our mentality is, daughters are necessary, but let them be born in the neighbor's house, not in our house. And by the time the mental change, as she's asking, will take place, perhaps it will be very late. The shortest and the first change which has to come has to be a disincentive, a discouragement to the people who do it, which can come only in the form of exemplary punishment.
True.
Which is not happening. The punishments which are being given, which is a fine of mere 1,000 rupees or a warning, this is rather an encouragement that you go ahead, do it.
And that you can get away with it.
You can get away with it. 1,000 rupees for a doctor who is indulging in sex determination doesn't mean anything to him. He gets far more in doing the test.
Absolutely.
So unless and until there is an exemplary punishment, unless and until our authorities are pushed up, there is gender sensitization of the authorities, I don't see any other Mitu coming forward.
Right. Neelam, what would you say to what Sushma really said? You know, that she's right. You know, people come up with these kind of mixed feelings, and even if they are congratulating you, that this is the way they congratulate you. So, which means that we ourselves haven't changed anyway.
Yeah, very true. I think Sushma was right. In fact, since I'm a gynecologist, I deliver babies, so I often face this in the OT itself when the daughter has come. We have to at times add adjectives because, you know, the family is just not, the hands does not come forward to take that daughter. So, I mean, this is the reality of the society, and at times I feel it's just not what's happening of late when we say women empowerment and women are coming out, they are working. I think they are being burdened because, you know, with the family, with their job, and, you know, it's just not economic earning and viability. It's about her self-esteem. She should feel satisfied with it. She should have some decision making. So in a true sense, that empowerment which we are looking for is very, very important, and I feel whenever we say gender orientation and sensitization, mindset change, I think we should direct our programs towards men and not towards women.
Not
so
just
I think,
towards women.
Having these programs in different courses, I would say even in medical institutions, this gender discourse is very, very important there, and I would say even judicially and police and whole lot of other authorities, because even where they are in the curriculum, they are not taken very seriously. So I think that is also my stand, that I think we need to, because, you know, until unless it is inculcated very early in their growing up years, I think it will not show in the society. And I think men, these all programs should be directed towards men in different streams wherever they are.
Absolutely. Aditi, I think we all do keep talking about sex selection, but on the other hand, if we see, we have not been able to cut down on our dowry system. Now, this is something that plays on people's minds a lot, and I think even this woman also said, you know, that somebody came and said that you start accumulating her Dahej now. So there are a lot of our social practices that are all interlinked, and that results in these kind of sex selection and then abortions and what have you. And also, as Neelam said, that we've got to get men into the program. What would you say on this?
Yeah, I agree with you totally. I mean, not just dowry. If you talk to parents, I mean, who have actually gone through sex selections for sons, they do very frankly tell you that in our society where the crime rate against women is so high, I mean, these are all very layered challenges.
That's right.
You know, there's not just one that you can address at one level. There are multiple challenges, and there are multiple reasons for that. We know that we as a society are insensitive towards women. So that in turn is you know, enforcing gender stereotypes, which is leading to high crimes against women. We always say that Delhi is the rape capital of India. We see all kinds of rapes and very heinous and brutal crimes now happening. I mean, sex selection is just a part of that whole game. We need to ask ourselves, as the panelists are pointing out, that how serious are you about implementation of the law? And I think there are examples, if you look at crimes, and if you look at challenges, there are examples within our systems which have been able to actually address issues. I'll just like to quote a short example.
Yes, please.
You know, we have this whole issue of missing children.
Right.
Courts have been time and again red flagging this issue and been telling the government, do something about it. Now it's the same police that has to trace missing children, and we all know Kailash Satyarthi, who was the Nobel Prize winner for this year, has been espousing this cause. So what was the solution that was thought about? So the Home Ministry, for the first time in the history of this challenge that India has faced for years, set up a dedicated cadre of officers to trace missing children. These are called the anti-human trafficking units. These are part of the Home Ministry, and then you have dedicated cadres going down the line. You start from the center, you have one in the state, you have one in the district, and one you have in the right at the block level. And the results have been outstanding. I mean, the recoveries of missing children. Children have sometimes been found in the same city, you know, loitering around in temples, loitering around in railway stations. It's just taken a dedicated cadre of officers to trace them. I think we need a dedicated cadre of officers, and maybe, loudly thinking, a cadre of judges, perhaps special courts to handle these situations. Because you need, you know, sensitive people. I mean, you can't just ask a judge to be sensitive to a case like, you know, Mitu. You have to actually have a cadre which is sensitive to it. I don't see any curricula inculcating that value in any judge or any policeman. It is either there or not there. It's about you know, you go out there and find such people. It's not easy, but it's possible.
Right. Would you want to say anything here? Special courts, I think that sounds like a viable, you know, solution probably.
Probably not. You know, the thing is, the same system of courts has to deal with many gender sensitive issues. So one of the things which is happening in the judicial, you know, these we have these commissions, which is judicial academies, where you're training judges in various walks. I mean, for example, if a judge is dealing with land acquisition, you'll make them more aware, you know, integrity issues, how to handle trials. Similarly, gender sensitivity, see, you can't have necessarily on missing children or on PNCT Act. You will have on rape, you'll want somebody sensitive. On matrimonial issues, you'll want somebody sensitive. On custody issues, you want somebody sensitive. You want, after all, half your society is women. So you would require sensitivity in virtually every walk of life. So the question is, you have a highly pressured judge who's hearing 60 matters a day. If he has, one, the mental ethos to be sensitive, and two, then the mind to be, the time to be sensitive. So all these are the issues. I don't think
but even if he has
you don't need a special court.
I don't think that should be reason for him to get away.
I'm saying you don't need special courts. You need the same court to be sensitive, because he's going to have all those cases.
Right.
He's going to have a variety of cases. 50% cases are going to be dealing with the custody, human rights, all those aspects are important. So all you need is trained and sensitive people who should be in our society as well as in our judiciary. Now, and when she was saying that we need to also train the men, I wanted to emphasize you also need to train the women. I've had people say that, you know, in our larger family or our in-laws family or larger family, the most cruel people are the women. And therefore, sometimes we think that woman is the mother-in-law, so it's not necessarily the mother-in-law, it's sometimes the daughter-in-law who's the cruel woman. So we women have to be sensitive to our women also, in addition to making men sensitive to our women.
Right. So, Mitu, what are going to be your final comments? What is it, would you want to make an appeal to the public through this show?
This is not my fight. I don't get anything from this. The only reason I'm filing this, as I said before, is that this practice stops. Because this impacts each and every one of us. There was a time kidnapping or sexual harassment of boys was unknown. Today even the boys are not safe.
Correct.
So I want the public to join me. I want each of you who has a child in the house, who wants their children to grow up in a better society, to think that this is their case. There is no monetary benefit to me. If anything, I am losing money on the legal expenses. But the only reason I'm fighting is that we can give our children a better tomorrow. And for that, I need the people with me. I cannot fight it alone. I just cannot fight it alone.
Absolutely. Neelam, what would be your final comments? What would you want to say?
I think we need people to come and stand by Mitu. All of us should be with Mitu. It's just one case, but it can give us a lot of insights. I mean, we need justice, and this fight should go on, and people should support such causes.
And would you like to give a word of caution for the doctors or for the people who are carrying out these tests?
Yeah, I think it's for money. I know it's for money and nothing else. So I think we did not become doctors to kill someone. We became doctors to save someone. So that's my say to the doctors.
I mean, the MTP Act does not allow abortion because you are carrying a daughter. The MTP Act allows abortion on various rights, and I myself am a strong advocate of the MTP Act. It's a right of a woman to abort. But the right to abortion doesn't include the right to abort because you are carrying a daughter.
Correct. Absolutely.
You cannot discriminate that you want to abort because you are carrying a girl child.
Right.
It's I mean, the abortion should be when there is a congenital anomaly. Maybe.
Absolutely.
And being a female is not a congenital anomaly.
Actually, right. Yes, Aditi, final 2 sentences.
Yeah, see, I have one comment that you need to change the way you recruit judges and police officers and law enforcement agencies. This whole gender component which she was mentioning, because the judges are there. How are you going to change their mindset unless you change the recruitment processes? There has to be incentive for gender sensitivity at the recruitment level. And secondly, I think we are are short of data on what is happening on this issue. There are states which were gender neutral for years, such as Jammu and Kashmir, such as Dadra and Nagar Haveli, which reported more than 50-point decline in child sex ratios in the last census. We need to know what is happening on the ground. And I think
what is their module?
I think under the PCPNDT Act, the bodies that have been created are not doing that well. They need to meet more often, and they need to be more in connection and engagement with the people. They operate in secrecy.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, I'd like to say thank you to all four of you, and all my best wishes with you, Mitu. So folks, sex selection at birth has to stop, period. There's no place for any ifs and buts anymore. If we are at all concerned about the abysmal male-female ratio in our country, then we've got to stop. This long-drawn menace is now showing signs of damage. And if this damage is not controlled soon, then the price we would have to pay would be too steep. For a country to progress in every quarter, the position of women needs to be strong, starting from their lives being spared even before they are born. No amount of progress in every which field equals to the position of the girl child. So at whatever level you can, do try and contribute in spreading the message of saving our daughters, or soon we would be a completely imbalanced society. And if you think it's time to come out on the roads, then please do so, because it's high time we held the bull by its horns. Think about it. On that note, it's a wrap of this discussion. Do join me next week for another debate on another gender issue. Till then, pay attention to saving your girl child. Goodbye.
तुम मुझे खून दो, मैं तुम्हें आजादी दूंगा। सुभाष चंद्र बोस।